is easy, isn't it, to recognize the influence other women have on our lives, our mothers, our sisters, our girlfriends. But what if you were to hold up a mirror? What's your reach? My next guest wants all women to recognize the female power and potential within us. Dr. Liz Hale is here with this appropriate recognition the week leading up to Mother's Day. Great to see you, my friend. Do you think women truly understand the influence we have on those around us?
Oh, I suppose we probably don't, but we are all influencers. We typically are. You know, we don't really get the chance to determine who we influence or when we influence, excuse me, but we're always, it's how we influence. We're always influencing. We can't help ourselves. We just are.
Today we're going to look at, in our time together, look at some various ways women can use that power and that influence for good. I want to start on the marriage front. You see this every day in your office between couples. What kind of influence does a woman have specifically in a marriage?
Well, a woman said it best to her husband just maybe 3 days ago. Or actually, he said it to her. He said, "You have no idea the power you are over me. You are my elixir." I thought that was so cool. I'd never heard that before.
Therapy,
I had to look it up. Yes, yes. And elixir means like a magic potion. You know, it helps something live for a long time. And it's like, well, he could not have said it better. She goes, "Well, I'm just not that touchy type." It's like, well, that's why he's asking for it, right? And you kind of know you're with the right match when the very thing they need from you is the hardest thing for you to give, but the best thing for you to learn how to give. We can soften men. Women can do that. They have such power in their homes. What's the first thing a child says when he comes in at the end of the day? You know? Mom, right? Mom. They have such power. They really are the central force in their families.
Well, and you say that power can be used, you know, to borrow the old marriage phrase, for better or for worse. There is that sway potential, right? And you say a lot of that comes from the female heart.
That's so true. And sometimes parenting can be so different, right? Sometimes the mom might be a little softer, or dad might be a little firmer, or vice versa. Sometimes the women are a little tougher. And kids can pick up on that.
Well, I was looking over your notes and this line jumped out to me. You said parental tension scares kids, and you compared it to living every day with the threat of a bomb going off. That kids read into that marital tension between husband and wife.
Yeah, they do. And if you show me a teen who's depressed or cutting, I'll show you there's usually tension in that home. They even did a study on rats, Brooke, and maybe the tension wasn't in their rat cage, but the next rat cage, and those rats went crazy, literally.
Even just a cage away, feeling that
it's a really big deal for kids. They pick up on it so fast.
So what's your suggestion for couples when the tension does start to bubble up in those household conversations?
And often it's in parenting, right? When one's a little tougher. So a couple of rules. One is to never correct an unloving parent in the moment. You know, let's say a child saying, "Mommy, Daddy's being mean to me." You remove yourself in that moment. Let Daddy or Mommy, whoever it is, handle it.
Okay.
And then rule number 2 is always come to their defense. Always take their side. Maybe an hour later, after things have calmed down, say, "Hey, can you and I talk for a minute? You know, man, I know what child A is like. They do this thing all the time, 1,000 times over, and I get the frustration. But you and I need to get on the same page so that we can teach that child about consequences in life."
You also suggest couples have kind of a code phrase between them if things do start to bubble over that can take it down.
It's so easy. You know, it started out with just the two of you, and then we got all these other people, right? So just remind each other, it's like, "Hey, babe, you and me, right? Hey, you and me. We're not going to go crazy here. We're not going to let people come between us."
Right. It goes without saying that women have, you know, a mighty influence on their children, which you've touched on. How can mothers maybe be more intentional about using that influence to strengthen those relationships?
And you know, think about the influence of your own mother. We're so powerfully influenced by them. And women do need to live intentionally as they remember their own relationships with their mother and make peace with those if they need to. Live intentionally when they create a home, when they teach a child how to love, their brains are being developed, and their consciousness, how do you say that
like
word?
That.
Their conscience is being developed.
Yes.
It is so powerful. You cannot underestimate it. I think it's uncalculatable, the influence of a woman.
Well, and you describe, I thought this was interesting, you describe a mother's power specifically as that emotional foundation. How does that trickle out? How does that affect and leak into our children, for example, in their daily lives? I like that phrase, emotional foundation.
Again, I think you're really teaching a child to love and to be loved and to be loving. And that's where the crux of a foundation of a life is who they are in the world and the power that they have to make a difference for good.
I think there's nothing more inspiring than seeing women reach out to support fellow women. And I know everyone has the best intentions, right? To be that sister or that neighbor or that girlfriend that has pom-poms in hand, who's constantly rooting on the women around her. How can we do a better job at that, do you think, Liz?
Yeah, we can. And you know, I really was inspired by a blog that was written by, I think his name was Kevin Nielsen. We're going to put it up on our website. But I was so touched by this. He, through the eyes of a man, he looked at the power of womanhood, and he looked at this when his wife was giving birth. And he realized for a moment there, as he was stepping back, that she was swarmed by these other caregivers, nurses and doctors, who all happened to be women.
Wow.
And this communal power of support, he said, boy, because I am so insignificant here. And he just saw these women rally with his wife to bring this new life into the world. And he realized there's a power there that I will never be able to touch. You know, it is so touching to me.
And that power, you say, extends not just within the walls of our own home, but to our extended family as well. Women can set that pace and set that tone. You've experienced this in your own life.
Well, you know, I'm an auntie of so many more now. So I'm Auntie Lizzie. When I married Ben, I inherited all these wonderful blessings of nieces and nephews and grandnieces and nephews.
Yes, yes.
And I suddenly realized my mentor for this is my own Aunt Trudy, you know, and she's been there throughout my whole, I can't remember a time when she wasn't there. I was by her side at 5 when she got married to my Uncle Steve. She was by my side at 50 when I married Ben. It is such a tender relationship, and I'm really trying to channel her as I love these new people in my world. I really want to be more like her. Aunt Trudy is known for her strawberry jam, and she's taught me how to make strawberry jam, and I'm doing it lately. So every time I give away this strawberry jam, I say, this is, you know, a gift from my Aunt Trudy.
I love that.
And she even gave me the permission to make it a little differently than hers. She likes hers smooth. Her family likes it smooth, right? And I like ours a little chunky.
So you're adapting her way with your own way, and what a beautiful tradition is that cycle. Thank you. Thank you, Aunt Trudy. Thank you, thank you. Good perspective, just the power that's out there for us to reign and harness, hopefully for the good. Thanks, Liz.
Yes, happy Mother's Day.
You too. Thank you so much. Thank you.